Well, good morning. It's Saturday, January 17th, 18th. Today's the 18th. I have to keep looking at my watch, keep track. So I just wanted to check in and tell you about something I've never done before, which is an HF QSO contest. It's called the North American, what is this thing called? It's the North American QSO Party. And I've never done anything. In fact, I made my first QSO period on HF last night to Randy, a local ham here in Bend. And then just a little while ago, I made my first HF contest QSO with a gentleman in California. So it was pretty exciting, the fact that I can reach out from California to someplace else and connect. It's been a learning experience too. You know, this is a sideband. Oh, the connection I did make, that QSO, wasn't 40 meters. I'm on 20 meters right now. That's what you hear in the background. It's kind of coming in and out. It's not all that great. There was one guy in Minnesota that kept calling, and I kept replying, and I camped on that for a good 5-7 minutes, replying back, and I could hear him, but he could never hear me. Obviously, my antenna, there's some compromise. I don't have the best antenna, but at least I have a piece of wire in the air and a transceiver, and I'm participating. So I've been at this for an hour, and I got one QSO, but hey, you got to start somewhere, right? You can only have your first HF contest QSO first one time. So yeah, it's been pretty exciting, and you can just hear the buzzing in the background there. Work around a little bit, you can see the radio with the MFJ tuner, IntelliTuner next to it. Not IntelliTuner, but the Versatuner attached to it. Anyway, I'll give you more an update later as I got some more to report in. But yeah, good stuff, and had to learn a lot, had to do a lot. Yeah, for example, I realized I had to get better control of my RF coming back to I had a ground, but it was connected to the electrical ground of the house. It really wasn't connected outside, so I drove a couple of 4-foot copper pipes, copper rods in the ground yesterday. I was in the snow, attached copper line to that, ran inside the shack here. So, and it's actually reduced some of the noise. I've noticed that it's reduced some of the noise coming in the shack. So, but yeah, it's kind of, saying yes to the contest just the other day, Thursday. I said, yeah, it sounds like it. I'd like to be part of it. It's kind of spurred me to, again, learn some things and move forward. The journey from 5 watts to 100 watts is which is what I'm running right now. 100 watts on an ICOM IC 9300. It's quite different and quite fun. So hope you can do it soon. I'll talk to you later. November 7, Golf November Delta. CQ contest, November 7, Golf November Delta, Mike Oregon, CQ contest. November 7, Golf November Delta, CQ contest. November 7, Golf November Delta, North American QSO Party, CQ contest. November 7, Golf November Delta. November 7, Golf November Delta, CQ contest, Mike Oregon. November 7, Golf November Delta. November 7, Golf November Delta, CQ contest. November 7, Golf November Delta, Mike Oregon. November 7, Golf November Delta, November 7, Golf November Delta, CQ contest. November 7, Golf November Delta. November 7, Golf November Delta. I can't hear me. Try it again. November 7, Golf November Delta, CQ contest, CQ contest. November 7, Golf November Delta, Mike in Oregon. November 7, Golf November Delta, Mike in Oregon, CQ contest, CQ contest. November 7, Golf November Delta, CQ contest. Hey. Well, I'm back at it. I had to go to Redmond to get a snow rake shovel because there are none in Bend, and it hasn't really snowed in Redmond, so I had to make a half an hour drive to Redmond and a half hour drive back and do some other things, shovel some snow. But I'm back, and I got word the 40-meter band is open, and sure enough, I just made my second HF QSO that I've ever made before, another California. I think part of it is the antenna I have. It goes east-west, which means it's going to be strongest north-south, and California is south of me. So that's probably something I've got to figure out in the future, is get an antenna that's strung more north-south so I can work east and west. But yeah, so back at it. We got company coming in a little bit, so I've got a few minutes to workstations, and I'm going to continue to work. And just to inspire folks, so yeah, I found this guy in California, a guy named Alex, and he was calling CQ, and I couldn't remember the phonetic alphabet. All I could remember is N7 G and D. I was just stuttering. I couldn't remember N7 Golf November Delta. I couldn't remember that. I just froze. So, hey, if I can do it, you can do it. Having fun. Talk to you later. Now, one thing I've got going is there's a lot of noise now. I mean, you can see the S meter. I mean, gosh, background noise is S5 to S6, S7. I mean, that's a lot of noise. So I've got to get signals above that. Yeah, got some more work to do. It's just, yeah, I've got to work on adding ferrite cores to different power cords, like I've done here. I've had a ferrite core to the DC power cord. But just the reality is, I live in an urban environment in this house, and there's so much electric lights and wall sockets and everything else, wall warts, they call them, that generate noise. But yep, this is what we're dealing with. Well, it's the day after. It's the day after the North American QSO Party, and I just finished and completed my first HF QSO contest. Made a total of 3 contacts. Woohoo! It doesn't sound like much, especially to some of the people within the local ham group, and then other people, the big guns online. It's staggering how many contacts they made. But I made 3. 3 was more than I made a week ago, which is 0 because I didn't even do it. So it was a lot of fun, and I learned a number of things, and I just want to share that with you about why, especially if you just got your general license and you're still wondering about this, and maybe you've got an HF transceiver sitting on your workbench or sitting in your ham shack, and you're kind of like, well, what do I do? Man, signing up for a contest gets you going. It makes things happening. Lessons I learned: QSO contests are fun. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, actually. It was actually trying to dig in there and listen to people, having some guy call from Florida. I could hear him. He couldn't hear me, but it was cool. It was a lot of fun. It's also a lot of work. It's a lot of work, a lot of concentration. You're listening. You're paying attention to what's going on, what's being said. So it is a lot of work also. Number 3, I really learned to use my equipment. This is a loaner IC, Nikon IC 7300. And I've really learned a number of features. I learned to pay attention to the waterfall, what was happening either side of the frequency. I'm learning to differentiate just on the waterfall noise from people who are coming in conversation on sideband. You could hear the dribbles, because typically noise, it's consistent. And with people talking, it's inconsistent. It's like little dribbles coming down their waterfall. So I learned to pay attention to that on the monitor scope. I learned that signing up for a contest, an HF QSO contest, 2 days before it even got started, it really forced me to complete my shack and get ready to transmit on 100 watts. It wasn't goofing around. It wasn't kidding around. It's like, okay, I need to be ready to transmit on 100 watts. And so I had to get some number of things done. Had to get my ground rod really installed and connected because I didn't want any of that RF coming back in the shack. So it just forced me to do some things. I had to, number 5, I had to improvise, adapt, and overcome. I don't have internet here, so I don't have a modern laptop to run logging software. So what I did is I used the paper software from the contest. I'm sorry, the piece of paper. But I wanted to check call signs, and so QRZ. So I got my Chromebook, and I have a hotspot, MiFi, from Verizon, and I just turned that on, and I had internet with my Chromebook, and I was able to hear call signs and verify it on QRZ. And so you just improvise, adapt, and overcome. So learn that. And last thing I learned, number 6, was my antenna. My antenna is an in-fed ZEP, and I'll go into have another video, and I'll talk about that and the pluses and minuses. And I could hear people, but people couldn't hear me, and I suspect a lot of it is just not getting out. Also, the orientation of the antenna is headed east-west, which means it's pretty much predominantly generating a signal north-south. And that means California, Washington, which is probably why a lot of the folks in the Midwest and east and west of here just couldn't hear me, because my signal of propagation is mostly directed north and south instead of east and west. So I've got some thinking to do about how am I going to, especially in an HOA environment, how am I going to get a wire-fed antenna, 40, 50 feet in the air, 100 feet long going, with north and south orientation, so it goes east and west propagation. So I've got some work to do figuring that out. But again, it's a lot of fun. If you haven't done it, urge you to get involved. Even if you only make 1 or 2 contacts, hey, you got to start somewhere, right? The way I look at it is you can only do your first QSO party one time. Anyway, this is Mike with 5 watts. Now what? Now what is an HF contest? Take care, and if you have any questions, be sure to just leave any questions down below in the comments. Thanks. Talk to you soon.